letting them surf stuff into the box.
Coach, the formation you chose today, the selection today, can you take us through the thought process in going with 3 center backs today, and also the 3 center backs you chose, why you chose those 3 particular ones, and also leaving Whitney in the middle of the 3?
Well, we've had 4 quality center backs all season, and it was a combination of the players we had available. We'd been working on this secondary system for 2 months now, and it was a perfect matchup to play to break it out today. And I thought the 3 center backs did a great job. Also, Tori and Nairn did a very good job shielding those 3, and then we had really good performances from our flank players. So I think for large majorities of the game, they were very ineffective in attack. And at the same time, we had numbers forward, and our forwards that we have available now with a couple of injuries and form were better in a 2-front themselves. So we looked at a lot of things, and it was a decision we made early on. The difficult part, like you said, was picking which 3 to play. Whitney is probably our best tactical defender. That's probably why she was in there. She's very strong and physical. And then Shalina brings a lot of organizational qualities, and Meg we needed really for the aerial ability. So unfortunately, Estelle, who I feel awful as well, not having a chance to help out, could have filled in any of those 3 roles, but she was not selected, and in an emergency would have been one of those subs for the center back.
Christine, as the clock is ticking down there at the end of extra time, I mean, do you ladies have a sense of how much time is left? And then can you kind of describe what that was like in that moment when the goal went in?
Yeah, I think, as competitors, we always know, the game situation. We're up a goal, we're down a goal, roughly how much time is left. And that last play, I just remember it coming off of, I think, Jess McDonald's foot, and I jumped for all I was worth, and there was a collision between me, Lynn Williams, and Kleiner. So, and then the crowd went wild. So it happened all so fast, and we were doing great all game. Working on those clearances and getting the ball out of the box and making them make hard plays, and the one chance that they got, they put it away, and credit to them. They're a hard-working team. They won at the end of the day, and like we said, we're gonna watch the film and go over this and learn from it. We're gonna be back.
You give up that goal right there at the end, and now you have to move on to penalties. What do you say to the team to get their minds off of what just happened and focused on those next set of 5 penalties?
Well, we have to trust our preparation. We train in penalties, and I felt like we did have the momentum, even though that was kind of a real body blow at the end to give up the equalizer in the last minute of added extra time. So, we had been good at penalties, and our 2 best penalty kick takers, they get saved. So, I mean, even to go to 6 was probably a pretty good accomplishment. And I thought Kelsey was a little unfortunate not to get 1. I mean, 2 she gets her hand on, and it's a funny game. It's a brutal way to decide games, and it's not a loss in my opinion. It's they advanced on penalties. So,
Christine, what emotionally, psychologically, how does it affect you when a goal is scored that late in the run of play, and then you have to turn around in PKs? Do you think something like that carried over, especially since three attempts were stopped?
I think it took the wind out of our sails a little bit. I think we'd be lying if we weren't kind of bummed about that. But this team has proven how resilient we can be. We can be 2 goals down, 3 goals down, and we'll come back and win 4-3. So I think Krieger said in the huddle, that goal doesn't define our season. How we react is how we're going to be remembered. And, unfortunately, it just didn't go our way tonight. But credit goes to this team. I think that was the best way we could have responded. Said it's PKs. It's not a good way to end a season, let alone a championship match.
Christine, it seemed like the Spirit Squadron really carried the atmosphere throughout the entire stadium tonight. Is that something you guys are aware of during the game, and How was the interaction when you guys walked over there at the end?
Absolutely. We wouldn't be where we are without the Spirit Squadron. For them to not only come to every single home game I think the Spirit has ever had, and just to grow each and every year. And, you know, they surprised us by being out in that corner, and we hear that drum, them screaming, and, you know, we walked over there, and our heart breaks as much as theirs. You know, they're just as much a part of this team as we are. And, you know, like I said, we aren't where we are, or we are here because of them. So thanks for them and everything they do. They do more for us than they know.
Sorry, just put it on the table. Good job, Sabrina.
At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone back to the 2016 NWSL Postgame Press Conference. At this time, I'd like to introduce Western New York Flash head coach Paul Riley, Western New York Flash goalkeeper Sabrina D'Angelo, and Western New York Flash defender Abby Erceg. Coach, if we could first begin with your overall thoughts on your team's performance in the match.
That's about it. Yeah, well, I think it wasn't one of our greatest performances, and certainly I don't think the game was as exciting as the two semi-finals, obviously, but we gutted it out, and, you know, we played a lot in practice being down by 1 goal with 5 minutes to go, and humping the ball forward and putting people in the box and just hoping something happens in the box. And I think when Jess crossed that ball, I felt like 3.5 minutes before Lynn got on the end of it, you know. And I was going, Lynn, screaming her name, and it's a great finish. And obviously then Sabs took over in penalty kicks and got us through the penalty kicks. But we've practiced a lot of penalties too, and it's a whole different world when you're kicking for a championship than it is kicking in practice. But it was just a gutsy performance. I think that game probably summed up the season for us. You know, we've come back in 8-9 games now, and Even at 2-1, I don't think, they had a couple of chances, but I don't think for a second we thought we were out of it. We just keep plugging along, and we just wanted one more chance. Maybe Jess would just link with Lynn one chance, or Abiezi could get on the end of a throw-in, or just something. We're just waiting for something to happen, and it happened. So thank Evans, and hats off to Washington. I thought they played really well. I thought they were the better team, certainly in the first half. Second half evened out a little bit, and overtime was just I think a war in overtime. A lot of players on the floor. But congrats to Jimmy too for getting here. He's a great coach and a terrific team. And we played. It's the first time we've beaten them, and we actually didn't beat them. We tied them, won on penalties. So they're a very good side. And I thought it was a decent final. Would have been nicer to be better, but then it's sweet to get the trophy. And really, really proud of the group. Amazing what they put into it. And people talk about teams of destiny, but this was a team of destiny for sure.
Thank you, Paul. And Abby, if we could also get your thoughts on the match and the team's performance.
Yeah, I think following on from Paul, I don't think it was our best performance. I think we've definitely played some better games and some better football, but at the end of the day, we got the job done and came away with the win. But, I agree. I think Washington played really well, and I think they probably had the better of us for most of the game. Fortunately for us, we'd practiced being down by a goal, 2 goals, and how we were going to solve the problem if that did occur. So we were able to pull that out, and our golden boot winner managed to be able to get out of jail free card. So that was great, and obviously Sab's coming out with a few saves, and penalties was really great for us.
Great, thank you, Abby. And Sabrina, if we could get your thoughts on the match.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of go off of what they said, it obviously wasn't our prettiest match, but we fought through the whole game, and like they said, Washington did play better than us, but I mean, we kept fighting, and to get that goal in the last minutes, I was nothing felt better than that, and to win in PKs, it was great.
Great, thank you, Sabrina. We'll go ahead and open up for questions at this time. If you please raise your hand and wait for the mic.
For Sabrina and Abby, can you take us through your view of, where you were, what you saw on Lynn's tying goal, and kind of your thoughts that surrounded that?
Well, I was right next to her when she scored it, and we knew it was going to be a last effort ball. We just had to put anything we absolutely could on it, and thankfully for us, Lynn is a specimen athlete, managed to get up and jump and get that ball over a goalkeeper. So we were fortunate for that, and I think it was a little bit of luck was on our side that managed to do that for us. So credit to Lynn for being able to do that, and for the girls for pushing through on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was in the back, and I just saw the ball go, and I was like, oh my gosh, and you saw Linny coming towards it, and then she has it, and it's like, yes! It was just an unbelievable feeling. As soon as she scored, I had no doubt in my mind that we would get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
For Paul and Abby, you both said that it wasn't your best performance and that the Spirit maybe were the better team. What were the factors that allowed you guys to keep it close enough that you had even a chance to equalize there?
Yeah, I mean, for us, usually in the midfield we're a little bit cleaner on the ball, and we just worked our socks off in there. We turned the ball over quite a bit in the game, but the effort was unbelievable. We switched formations at half-time, went to a 4-3-3. We figured maybe we could spread them out up front with the back three, and they made a huge change, obviously, tactically before the game, which threw us off a little bit. But we kept pressuring, we kept getting stuck in. I mean, they had a couple of decent chances. Sabs came up with a good save midway through the second half that kind of kept us around, and it just feels like encompasses the entire season. I mean, it's been a great process and a great journey, and we just kept plugging along. And every time teams wrote us off, we came back, and every time you wrote us off, Dan, we came back. And it's just good. It's just an amazing feeling for the troops, and I think they've been very loose all week and very calm, which was unusual for a young team. And we didn't play our best performance because I think they're young. I think the legs got heavy real early in the game, and they weren't able to play better. But I think having tasted it, hopefully they'll want more. And hats off to them; they were awesome.
Yeah, and just obviously following on from that, I think the previous week and the previous game took a little bit out of us. It was a tough game against Portland. They really, really took it to us, and obviously 120 minutes of football isn't normal, and then obviously traveling across the country as well. I think it all added up, and we were tired going into the game, more so than I thought we would be, and it does play a little bit of a factor. We had no coach on the sideline, so I think that might have been a bit of a factor as well.
Well, I think it's 8 away games out of 9, right?
Yeah,
I think we've done like 7,000 miles over the last 2 weeks, so it's been a lot. I mean, usually on our GPS numbers are usually 15 to 1,800 this week. We were 480. that's how little we did this week to try and just rest them and get them ready. So it's a little bit of a difficult week with the travel from Portland, travel here, but God bless them, man. They dug in today. They dug in.
Paul, a young team, obviously a lot of players returning. Do you look at this match and see, obviously you won, but you said that it might not have been the best performance. Lessons that next year, going to next year, that whether it's being more two-dimensional, whatever it may be, to
yeah, I think it was. I mean, obviously I don't really care at the end of the day, but this game we'll just watch the ending probably, But I think the most important thing is the learning from the experience of last week in Portland, and then coming here and learning the experience, because playing the semi-finals and finals, they don't happen enough in America. We don't play enough of those games. In Europe, I think you have a lot more cup games, and you get used to playing in a one-and-off game. You have to win the game. It's all on. And last week was really the first time this young group had been in that type of situation, and I think it really did take a lot out of us mentally too, including the staff too, when we were shot come back from Portland. And, but I just, we talked all week about the mental part of the game and how important that, moving the ball has been all year for us, and we've talked about it a lot. And, once you get it to the top of the hill, you just got to give it a little poke. Once it starts running down the hill, we're good to go. And we just needed just to hold it at the top of the hill, and then second half, just let it go. And we just couldn't get that little bit of energy that we needed. But no, I mean, we'll get better. There's no two ways about it. Sam Muse will get better. Abby will get better. Jay Hinkle will get better. Sabs will get better. Across the board, they're young and they're in the start of their careers, and this experience will be great for them. And whether we'd won or lost, to be honest with you, the experience would have been great for them.
Paul, you mentioned the Spirit came out with a little bit of a different shape, and you guys made the adjustment to a 4-3-3 at halftime to counter that. With the suspension, how involved were you in those halftime discussions?
Not involved. No, not at all. Other than screaming through the glass in front of me about 1,600 times. I think Jay Hinkle turned around at one point and went, "Was that coach?" She looked at me and was like, "Get off the field!" But it was... No, we talked. To be honest, we planned when we saw the team sheet. There's obviously something was going on. You know what I'm saying? When Oyster was in, and we thought would be a little change of formation. I didn't think they played the three centre backs, to be honest with you. But we adjusted at half time. The first half, I think they hurt us first half. They got on the ball. The extra player in the midfield hurt us. We just couldn't get hold of the ball, and we did a lot of defending and blocking, and trying to just get in front of our own penalty box and stopping them from scoring. I think somebody said it before, but we kept it close, and I think keeping it close played into our advantage. I think as we went into overtime and stuff. And obviously when we were in there, it was anyone's game. But now I got a great coaching staff, man. They've been, they've been with us. Scott's been with me for 2 years, and DJ and Gary, and everybody's all looking at each other. I can see them looking at each other, and they just, they did what they had to do to get the result. And very proud of the whole group, to be honest with you. I'm proud of the ownership too for giving me the opportunity in Western New York and backing us up when they got to spend some extra money at certain things that we needed. So God bless them.
Coach, and to you too. The final push for this, team mantra that has, carried you throughout the whole, season. Were you guys ever at any point like, this is where the train's gonna stop, or was there always, hey, something's gonna happen for us to put us out, something's gonna happen?
You want to answer that? You want me to?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to answer that. The good thing about this team, and I guess being so young and lacking a little bit of experience, is that we're a little bit naive about some things like that. So the train was never ever going to stop. It was just going to keep going. We just had to do it game by game by game rather than looking at the big picture. We kind of made the picture a little bit smaller and just focused on that. But yeah, I think that does come down to the age a little bit in the group and the experience. And going down a goal. We've practiced it in training. We've done it over and over and over, knowing what to do. Like I said, we know what to do. We know how to fix it. And we just happen to be able to do it today. So.
I think we've talked about a storyline all season, obviously being the underdog, and we talked about moving the ball, and we talked about this. What a great soccer story this is. It's a great soccer story, and we just, today, really before the game, last thing I said to him at the hotel before we left from the hotel was, we put the finishing line, put the final line on the story, because that's really what they had to do, and luckily we got it done. We got it done.
Sabrina, going into that penalty shootout, psychologically, how big was it? Going into it off the back of the equaliser, as opposed to maybe being in Kelsey's position where obviously they're a few seconds away from gaining victory. How much practice have you done in the week on PKs as well? And Paul, I know you weren't able to communicate very much with the team today, but based on your experiences with the losses that you had in the WPS, what were you able to tell the team in the week if the game had gone to penalty kicks in terms of
Right, you
preparation
go
and what they
first.
might need to be ready for?
I mean, just like being able to go into PKs and knowing that Linny was able to get that goal for us and the team did so well to equalize the game. It was my turn to my job to save the day. And I mean, it's just a gut feeling. As soon as Linny scored, I knew we were going to win in PKs, and I mean, just the confidence and the sureness that I was going to save. And it's funny, one of the players Tay said, "You're going to save 3 of them," and it's just funny the way it worked out. But yeah, I couldn't have done it without them equalizing it on the field.
Yeah, and the penalties. I mean, we take penalties every day for what, 2 months now, 2.5 months.
Yep.
And it's hard playing, taking penalties against her every day because she's going to say sooner or later. Sam says, "Paul, she knows where I'm going. I just hit it harder, just hit it a bit firmer." But obviously, when it comes down to penalties, I think you just don't know what the personalities will actually do in the moment. But we prepped for it a lot. We talked about it a lot. I think we had a big staff meeting this morning for a couple of hours to talk about every single scenario that could possibly happen, from the subs that they would make, the subs that we would make. And just the kind of, would we need to settle them down at half-time? Would we need to G them up at half-time, into overtime? We said it would go to penalties. We all said we would win on penalties. That's what we all said this morning. So I guess it came lucky for us. And it was our turn to win. And Sab's obviously, she's really good on penalty kicks. She's low to the ground. She's got low center of gravity. She puts, she gambles. And I had my what's name in the glass thing. I was going, just gamble, Sabs, just gamble, just go, just gamble, just gamble, just gamble. Just hope to God she did, and she gambled the right way. Thank heavens.
Question for Abby, but first Sabrina, who did you say told you would save 3?
Taylor Smith.
Thanks. Abby, yesterday Paul said that when he got the job, the first call he made was Jess McDonald, and the second call was to you. I'm wondering if you
No,
remember.
No,
Abby
goalkeeper,
Dalkamper.
yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, then that erases my question. Thanks.
Paul, anything extra gratifying for you after a couple of go-arounds here with this in Philly?
I knew that question
Was that on the mind at all?
No, it's such an unusual group, and it's been a refreshing group, and I love the group I had in Portland last year. To be perfectly honest, it was a great group of players, and everything about Portland was amazing. And to come here and with Charlie, I mean, you have to give a lot of credit to Charlie for building the team. I came in late, and the team was built, and basically handed to me and said, "Go ahead, off you go, and see what you can do." And I don't think there was much expectation for the coaching staff or really for us and the players. And like I said, we set no goals. We never mentioned playoffs, never mentioned championships. We just plugged along and tried to pick up points. And we picked up a lot of points on the road from these type of situations, being down 2-1, 3-1. And I think it was just, for me, it's gratifying just to see them all develop. I mean, we had to surrender the outcome to develop the player, and that's what we did. We surrendered some of the outcomes during the season maybe to, and just didn't think we would get here when we got here, despite surrendering the outcome. And I think the most important thing was to develop. When you say we go on the first road trip and only 2 people can rent cars because we don't have enough players that are old enough to rent cars, I start to think, oh my word, really, is that true? And Abby Erzig's been driving the whole time because she's one of the only ones over 25 years of age, and she's a bad driver too, right, Abby? No, I'm just kidding. Remember the tree stump in Boston? No, we won't talk about that.
Must be a secret.
But I think there was tremendous character in the locker room. They worked their socks off. I mean, I'm not an easy guy to play for, as you probably know, Jeff. And they reminded me a lot of the first Philly group, the youthfulness of them, and also the fact that everyone did write them off. And we didn't have a great season last year, so I think it's an easier situation to come in. I went into Portland when they just won the championship, and they wanted to get better, and we just won the championship. So I think it's always tough to go into a place after you win a championship. But we plugged along. The staff, we spent a lot of time together. My boy DJ in the back, got to give him a shout for all strength and conditioning, keeping everybody fit and healthy. And I think we rested players at the right time. We got people hot at the right time, and I think Scott did a wonderful job. Gary was brilliant, and Scott and me can have a glass of orange juice together tonight and have a relaxed chat after it. But the staff's been great, and everyone said, "Oh, Buffalo's going to be cold." It's been beautiful in Buffalo, so I don't care if it's cold anymore. I'll go back, and it can be cold all at once because it's a very. I mean, we talk about this team being young and being the first success, but this club's won a lot. I mean, they've won a lot. 6 out of 8 times to the playoffs. I think it's the 4th championship. Is it the 4th championship? 4th? DJ would know. He's been around for all of them, right, DJ? Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's unbelievable, really, for the ownership and for what Joe and Anita have done with the team, and Alex and Aaron, what they put into the team. So I'm just happy for everybody in Buffalo. All right, let's go get the champagne.
All right, that's going to conclude today's 2016 NWSL Championship postgame press conference. To thank Paul, Sabrina, and Abby for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Let me just pick up my broken trophy.